The Radical Revolution of Softness, How Black Women Are Redefining Power. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I want to start by sharing something extraordinary that happened to me recently. I had the privilege of interviewing Lashay Johnson, a visionary force whose work is literally reshaping how we understand power, success, and what it truly means to thrive as Black women in a world that was never designed for our flourishing. Dee Lachey isn't just another voice in the crowded conversation about professional development. She represents something far more revolutionary, a complete paradigm shift that's liberating Black women from centuries of inherited trauma disguised as strength. Through her groundbreaking work empowering Black women to embrace what she calls the soft girl era, Dee Lachey has ignited a movement that's spreading like wildfire across boardrooms, creative spaces, and kitchen tables. She's challenging everything we've been conditioned to believe about success. And in doing so, she's helping thousands of women reclaim their birthright to joy, rest, and authentic power. Today, I want to explore the counterintuitive idea at the heart of D. Lachey's philosophy that true power comes not from hardening ourselves against the world, but from embracing our softness. For generations, we've been sold a particular vision of success: work harder than everyone else, never show weakness, push through pain, sacrifice everything, your time, your health, your relationships, on the altar of achievement. This narrative has been especially pervasive for Black women who face the dual burdens of racism and sexism. We've been told that to succeed, we must be twice as good, twice as strong, twice as resilient. And so we've armored up. We've built titanium capes and worn them proudly. We've pushed ourselves beyond reasonable limits, ignored our body's signals, postponed joy, and called it strength. But what if this entire framework is fundamentally flawed? What if the path to our greatest power and most meaningful success actually requires us to do the opposite, to soften, to prioritize pleasure, to make space for rest, to honor our bodies, to define achievement on our own terms? This is the radical proposition that D. Lashay Johnson puts forward. And it's not just theory, it's a lived practice that has transformed countless lives, including her own. During our interview, D. Lashay shared something that stopped me in my tracks. She said, "The world has convinced Black women that our value lies in our capacity to endure suffering. But what if our greatest contribution comes when we're actually thriving?" Let that sink in for a moment. What if the narrative of the strong Black woman who can handle anything, who never breaks, never complains, never rests, isn't actually serving us? What if it's keeping us from our fullest expression of power? Did- Lachey's journey to this realization wasn't straightforward. Like many of us, she initially bought into the hustle culture mentality. She pursued success with relentless determination, climbing corporate ladders, exceeding targets, building her brand. From the outside, she was the definition of achievement. But inside, she was exhausted, depleted, disconnected from her body, her joy, her purpose. I realized I was succeeding as someone else's definition of success. She told me I was ticking all the boxes on a checklist I hadn't even written. This revelation came at a breaking point, her body literally forcing her to stop through illness. It was in that pause, that unwanted but necessary stillness, that she began to question everything. What if success looked different? What if power came not from pushing through, but from tuning in? What if the most revolutionary act for a Black woman in today's world was to prioritize her own well being? Thus began what Dee Lachey calls her entry into the soft girl era, a complete reimagining of how to move through the world as a high achieving Black woman. Now, let's be clear about something. When Dee Lachey talks about softness, she's not talking about being passive or diminishing yourself. She's not suggesting we lower our ambitions or accept less than we deserve. Quite the opposite. She's talking about a softness that is deeply powerful, a softness that comes from being so secure in your worth that you don't need to prove it through constant productivity, a softness that allows you to set boundaries without apology, a softness that makes space for pleasure as a birthright, not a reward to be earned after endless labor. Softness, De Lachey told me, is not weakness, it's the ultimate strength. It's knowing your worth so deeply that you refuse to sacrifice your well being on the altar of achievement. This philosophy manifests in practical ways. De Lachey shared how she now structures her workday around her energy levels rather than forcing herself to conform to conventional schedules. She practices what she calls pleasure mapping, intentionally incorporating moments of joy throughout her day. She has non negotiable boundaries around her time and energy. And here's the most counterintuitive part. Since embracing this approach, her success by conventional metrics has actually increased. Her business has grown, her influence has expanded, her financial abundance has multiplied. But more importantly, she feels fundamentally different in her body, her mind, her spirit. Success now feels sustainable, it feels aligned, it feels like hers. This brings us to a profound question. What if the way we've been taught to pursue success is actually undermining our ability to achieve it? Consider the research on burnout, particularly among Black women. Studies consistently show that Black women experience higher rates of work related stress and burnout than any other demographic group. We're more likely to report feeling exhausted, undervalued, and unsupported in professional settings. Yet the prevailing advice remains: push harder, do more, be stronger. De Lachey challenges this directly. The system wants you exhausted, she says. Exhausted people don't have the energy to question, to create, to revolutionize. Rest isn't just self care, it's a political act. This perspective aligns with the words of the audacious Audre Lorde, who famously said, "Caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation, and that is an act of political warfare." When De Lachey talks about entering the soft girl era, she's talking about a radical reclamation of our time, our energy, our joy. She's talking about refusing to participate in systems that demand our depletion. She's talking about creating new models of success that center our wholeness. During our conversation, De Lachey shared a powerful affirmation that guides her daily. I am worthy of rest. I am worthy of pleasure. I am worthy of success that doesn't require my suffering. This isn't just a nice sentiment. It's a revolutionary declaration in a world that has consistently told Black women that our value lies in our labor, our struggle, our sacrifice. But what would happen if we collectively embraced this new paradigm? What would happen if Black women everywhere began to prioritize their well being as non negotiable? If we define success on our own terms, if we refuse to participate in systems that demand our depletion. De Lachey believes, and I've come to agree, that this shift wouldn't just transform individual lives, it would transform organizations, communities, perhaps even society itself. Because when Black women thrive, truly thrive, not just survive, we bring our full brilliance to every table we sit at. We innovate, we create, We lead with vision and integrity. We solve problems that others can't even see. The world needs Black women who are well rested, well nourished, and operating from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, D. Lachey insists. That's how we change everything. This brings me to what I believe is the most powerful aspect of D. Lachey's philosophy, the idea that softness is not just about personal well being, it's about collective liberation. When we reject the narrative that our worth comes from our capacity to endure hardship, we create space for others to do the same. When we set boundaries around our energy, we model that possibility for others. When we prioritize pleasure as essential rather than optional, we challenge systems built on the exploitation of our labor. In essence, by taking care of ourselves, we become living examples of a different way of being. We become walking permission slips for others to claim their own well being. D. Lachey shared a beautiful quote from her grandmother that encapsulates this: Baby, you can't pour from an empty cup, and the world is mighty thirsty for what you have to give. This wisdom recognizes that self care isn't selfish, it's essential for sustainable impact. It acknowledges that our well being isn't separate from our purpose, it's integral to it. So, what does this look like in practice? How do we actually enter this soft girl era that D. Lachey describes? It starts with small intentional shifts. D. Lachey shared several practical strategies during our interview. First, audit your energy, pay attention to what depletes you and what energizes you. Then restructure your life to maximize the energizing activities and minimize the depleting ones. Second, practice pleasure mapping. Intentionally incorporate moments of joy throughout your day, not as rewards after work is done, but as essential components of your well being. Third, set boundaries without apology. Your time, energy, and attention are precious resources. Be intentional about where they go. Fourth, redefine success on your own terms. Ask yourself, what does success actually look like for me? Not for society, not for my family, not for my colleagues, but for me. Fifth, find community. Surround yourself with others who are on this journey of redefining success and embracing their softness as strength. These practices might seem simple, but they represent a profound shift in how we approach our lives and our work. They challenge us to question deeply ingrained beliefs about productivity, worth, and achievement. As I stand here today, I'm issuing a challenge to every person in this room. Examine the ways you've been conditioned to equate your worth with your productivity. Question the systems that profit from your exhaustion. Consider what might be possible if you dare to prioritize your well being as non negotiable. For the Black women here, I invite you to join the revolution that D. Lachey is leading, to claim your birthright to rest, to joy, to success that doesn't demand your suffering, to recognize that your softness, your ability to feel deeply, to connect authentically, to honor your body's wisdom, isn't a liability to overcome. It's your greatest strength. And for everyone else, I challenge you to examine how you might be perpetuating systems that demand the depletion of Black women, to consider how you might create spaces where softness is recognized as the power it truly is. Because the revolution D. Lachey is leading isn't just for Black women, it's for all of us. It's about creating the world where success is measured not just by what we achieve, but by how we feel while achieving it. A world where power comes not from our capacity to endure hardship, but from our courage to prioritize joy. In the words of Lashay Johnson, welcome to the soft girl era, where we turn down the noise, turn up the pleasure, and teach the world that a soft Black woman is a dangerous thing to underestimate. The time has come to drop our titanium capes, to embrace our softness as our superpower, to redefine success on our own terms. Will you join us? Thank you